My name is Mark Moffitt, and I have the pleasure to serve as the Executive Director at Otterbein University just up the road in Westerville. And we're really excited all of you have come out tonight, and it's our goal, with myself and some of my colleagues, to give you a really good understanding of what College Credit Plus is, and really what you should be thinking about, whether you're in 7th grade or getting ready to start your senior year next fall. So we've got a lot of good information for you tonight, and hopefully you had a chance to talk to some of the college reps out front before you stopped in, and they'll be out there after our presentation as well. All right, so what is College Credit Plus? Well, honestly, College Credit Plus is dual enrollment. And really what that means is it offers students to take classes for high school credit and college credit at the same time. And when I talk about college credit, you're actually taking college coursework that will then transfer back to your high school to work towards your high school graduation requirements. But then once you graduate from high school, whether you attend the school that you've completed College Credit Plus at or attend another institution, those credits will have the opportunity to be reviewed and transferred in to your institution. So here's something you don't always hear when you're thinking about college and higher education. College and free in the same sense. But really, College Credit Plus will give you that opportunity to take college courses while you're in school, whether it's middle school or high school, and be covered by either your school district or the state of Ohio. So if you are attending, a public high school in the state of Ohio, your school district will cover your costs, which would be tuition and books. And if you're attending a private school or being homeschooled, the state will cover your costs. And all the schools that you may be looking at for College Credit Plus will want to make sure that you meet the state qualifications for academic readiness. So you'll hear from us tonight really what that means in terms of our admission policies. So really, what does free cover? Basically I already mentioned tuition and books, and each institution, whether it's a private institution or a public institution, no matter what the cost of tuition you may see listed, your high school or your school district will cover those costs. The only thing I haven't mentioned are fees, and a lot of times dependent on the courses that you may select will depend on if you have added course fees for those classes, but also too when you're applying to the institutions, there generally is an application fee, and your school district will cover that as well. There are some costs that aren't necessarily covered by your school district or the state. So one, transportation. You're going to have the opportunity to take College Credit Plus classes on the college campus. You could take it at your high school, and you could take it online. But if you're taking it on a college campus, you will be covering your transportation, parking. So parking passes, depending on where you may attend, will have different costs for your parking pass. And then, of course, if any other incidentals such as meals or optional fees. So it may be a class that will have outside supplies or things that you may need, and those would be covered by the family. So who can participate? I did mention earlier that students from 7th grade through your senior year can participate in the College Credit Plus program. This is a program where all Ohio residents, well, I assume that we're all Ohio residents, and most of you are attending UAlbany and Gahanna, so you would meet that requirement. And then also, I mentioned earlier, the college readiness guidelines. Those are important. So each school that you'll be looking at, you want to make sure you follow their admission requirements for College Credit Plus. So who should participate? So many of you are here tonight to learn, what is this going to allow me to do? Well, believe it or not, it's going to help you maybe get ahead in your college experience. Many of you may already know what you want to do. Maybe you have an understanding of a program of study or a career opportunity that you're considering. So College Credit Plus will allow you to take courses while you're still in high school that will help meet those requirements as you enter college after high school graduation. Many of you have probably worked very hard in the classroom and put a lot into your academics. And if you're ready for a new challenge, College Credit Plus is a great opportunity for you. So in the state of Ohio, many of you may know that we have many options for students when they start looking at colleges and universities. So with College Credit Plus in Central Ohio, you have options to take classes from public institutions. Those could be community colleges in our area, such as Columbus State Community College. They could be four-year colleges, such as the Ohio State University, or it could be a private college like I represent at Otterbein University. So you have many options to look at CCP just in Central Ohio alone. I know some school districts also teach courses at their high school campuses. So I sort of touched on this already, but where can I take these classes? We would love for you to come on our college campuses, get an understanding of really that experience, but also you want to realize that if you're taking CCP courses on a college campus, you're going to be mixed in with our current students. So those could be traditional age college students or non-traditional age college students, and you'll be required to meet all the requirements for the course and make sure that you're getting the work done with that as well. I mentioned you can take them on your high school. Some high schools have your current teachers that are certified to teach College Credit Plus opportunities, and then also you could have the online option that would allow you to take it within the comfort of your own home. So it's now my pleasure. That was all. I got through that. But now it's my pleasure to introduce a colleague from the Ohio State University, Kelly Rieveling-Cobb.
Thank you, Mark. As he said, my name is Kelly Rieveling-Cobb, and I'm the Assistant Director for the College Credit Plus program at Ohio State. Our program is known as the Academy, and it's actually been around for longer years than College Credit Plus has been around. But we have students that participate on all of our campuses, as well as Columbus campus. So we're going to talk a little bit about why you would want to participate in CCP and some things that you may want to think about in terms of participating in College Credit Plus. So, of course, everyone is excited that, wow, I can earn college credit and I don't have to pay for it. Those are two huge benefits for participating in College Credit Plus. It can be used to help a student get ahead of the game in terms of moving towards a degree down the road. Most of the students that take College Credit Plus courses take very general courses, or what we like to call general education courses. So the maths, the sciences, the languages, the social studies, and social sciences. So those courses are typically pretty transferable amongst the universities here in the state and some out of state. So it's a helpful way to kind of get started if a student's ready to move on to that level of work. The other really great benefit of it is that A student, especially if they are going to campus to participate in College Credit Plus, will get an opportunity to see what college is actually like. It's one thing to experience the rigor of academics in college, and it's also another thing to actually sit in a college classroom with other college students experiencing the same thing that they experience. So you'll get a taste of what college is really like, of what professors expect from you, what things you're responsible for as a student, and what opportunities that may lay ahead for you, including trying out courses that will give you some insights into what you're good at, what you may like, what you may be interested in. So if you've always thought, I always wanted to study a different language other than Spanish, French, and German, maybe I'd like to try Swahili. And we have courses on our campus where you could actually study that. Or say you are interested in going into law, so you may be interested in taking a political science class during College Credit Plus, which could give you some more insights into helping you discover what your passions are and what your academic interests are. Also, you'll really get familiar with what college is like in terms of the level of expectation academically, meaning what types of things do you have to do in college that you don't have to do in high school or even in middle school, like spending a lot of time outside of class studying versus in class studying, doing homework that may take you several hours to do for one class versus maybe half an hour or an hour, studying for exams on a daily basis as opposed to the night before. Those are all the sorts of skills that you will encounter and learn to be successful in a college setting, so College Credit Plus can help with that as well. Now, all students, they take courses and they will apply towards their high school graduation either as electives or as courses that are general education courses that may transfer. But they also, it may help kind of speed up the process so that a student will know exactly what they want to do, and when they get past graduation, they're able to jump right into their major, or they're able to double major, or they're able to pick up a minor. A lot of the students that I work with tend to get their general education courses out of the way, so meaning their math, their languages, their science. Typically, they will also do a visual performing arts, things that not only meet the high school requirements, but meet general education requirements at Ohio State. So if they choose to go to a state institution, or many of the private institutions here in the state, they will be able to already have that taken care of and be able to explore more options as a freshman, as opposed to the other freshmen that are coming in that are having to take those courses. So it's a great opportunity to be able to just explore and to take your time to do so, as opposed to being on the clock when you're a freshman in college. I will say that a lot of students and families think that it's going to shorten their time to degree. It doesn't necessarily do that. Sometimes it may. Sometimes colleges offer different programs and majors that have very specific requirements all 4 years. So where you may not be able to knock off some of those requirements because they're things that the college needs you to do in those 4 years, you may be able to add a minor, or you may be able to do a co-op or an internship and not take 5 years, but actually graduate in 4 years. So it does give you a lot of flexibility. Now, the thing that people forget when they hear free, they get excited and like, oh great, this is for me, we should do this. We're going to save a lot of money and we're going to save a lot of time. Well, that could be true. However, it's really important for you as a family to assess whether or not your student is ready. And your student may be extremely intelligent and very academically ready for a challenge, but they may not always necessarily be ready to do College Credit Plus. And we say that because it's a combination of things. It's a combination in terms of being ready for the level of rigor in a course, as well as being ready for the level of responsibility that comes with the independence needed to take a college course. So if the student isn't necessarily ready for that, it could put the student at jeopardy of not doing as well as they could. And because of that, you may end up not doing well in a class and having to drop it or failing it, and it shows up on your transcript both at the high school and on a college transcript. State law says that if a student fails, they need to repay their school district for that class. So that could get pretty costly. Also, going forward, not only will colleges see that on your transcript from the high school, but if you decide not to go to that college, say for example, and you go someplace else, they're going to request your transcript from any colleges that you've actually taken courses from. So it will show up. So you want to be very prudent about making those decisions so that you do your best and have an awesome experience. The other thing is, if you don't do well, you also get put on what's called CCP probation, which is handled by your school district. And when you're on CCP probation, basically you can only take one class the following semester, and it can't be in the same area of study as the class that you failed. When that sometimes gets a little tricky is, say you're a senior who's taking an English class and you fail it, and you can't take another English class for CCP, and you are not able to enroll in the year-long class at your high school. So these are things that we don't want to scare you, but we do want to make you aware that these are things that have happened, and we've seen them happen, and we work with students very carefully to either try to prevent that or to help them rectify that situation. But these are some of the risks or some of the possible downfalls of doing College Credit Plus. And another really important thing, especially for my younger families out here, for students that are college course takers, they're going to be treated just like real college students. Particularly if you're going to campus, you will be in a class with other regular college students. And they can be anywhere from the same age as your student to 70. I mean, it just all depends on who's enrolled in the class. No one announces, hey, high school student here, hey, middle school student here. You were integrated fully into the classroom as if you were just another college student. If you're taking a course that's embedded in your high school, you do have that luxury of only being in the classroom with other other high school students that you probably know and hopefully like. So then you will at least have that kind of safety net in terms of having the familiarity and being able to kind of form study groups and do things together as a group. But if you come to a college campus, you will be in a class with other people who are not CCP students. They go a lot faster. You're covering a whole year's worth of material in basically 14, 15 weeks. And they will go quickly, and there may only be 1 or 2 tests during the semester or 1 or 2 papers instead of lots of little tests and quizzes and grades. So those are some of the things that we want students and families to think about, the differences between high school and college and how courses are taken. Also, the courses that you may sign up for are taught to adults, so they may have content in them that you wouldn't necessarily think would be appropriate for younger students. For example, there's a Greek mythology class that a lot of our students take. It's quite popular, but when you think about Greek mythology and all of the pillaging and things that went on amongst those characters, it's definitely not something that some families would really want their 7th or 8th graders or 9th graders to be exposed to. And that goes without saying for all classes, that the professors have freedom, academic freedom to teach as they want, the subjects they want, when they want. So that's another thing that you just need to keep in mind, that since a student will be in a college class, those are some of the things that they may encounter. And as I mentioned already, there's a higher level of responsibility for students to get their work done and turned in. They give you a syllabus at the beginning of the semester, and after that, you're expected to look at it, chart and plan on your calendar when things are due, when midterms are, when finals are, and to be there and to take care of business. And so that's something that a student will need to be prepared for. Lastly, when you're transporting yourself off of campus, meaning high school campus, to a regular college campus, you have to take into consideration, how are we going to get there? How much time is it going to take? What happens if there's traffic? What happens if there's snow, sleet, rain, droplets? It's Columbus, and we tend to have a moment when there's precipitation. So keeping all of those things in mind, how well does your son or daughter transport themselves, or are they going to ride with a group of people? Are they going to carpool? Or do they need to be back at school for drill team, and back at school for football practice or a club? Or are they going to be gone the whole entire day? Those are just a piece of the puzzle that you want to consider when you're looking at College Credit Plus. Lastly, speaking of weather, we've been very fortunate this year that we have not had bad weather. But when we do have bad weather, a lot of times colleges don't close. I would say Ohio State's probably the last one to close, but there are a lot of times when the high schools close, but the colleges don't. So you're expected to be at class if the college is open. And even if high school's not open, you gotta get a dog sled and yow your way down to campus. So those are things that you may not think about. Also, talking about dates, there are times when, especially in spring semester, where spring break may be different. The college spring break may be the middle of March. Your high school spring break may be in April, depending on when Easter falls. You're expected to be at class, and you can't go scampering off for a nice week-long beach vacation if you are enrolled in a class. You have to be there at class because you're going to be missing vital information, and you will also likely get points taken off for participation, just depending on how the professor sets up the grading. So there are times when we've had students that have had to either drop a class or trade off for an online class, or do something of that nature in order to make sure that they fulfill their responsibilities for College Credit Plus classes. One other piece is that students are the owners of their academic record, not the parents, not the family. So parents will not have the same access to grades and talking to teachers and parent-teacher conferences, even if the class is in the high school. you will not be able to just kind of go and talk to a professor or teacher so-and-so about how my child is doing in the class. Because of FERPA, you are not the owner of the academic record the student is, and the student has to say that it's okay to share that information with you. And for some people, that would be a little more challenging than others. As I mentioned, FERPA is acronym for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and it is a federal law. And because of that, the students do own their own academic records, and their grades come directly to them. So you have to work with each college and sign releases to make sure that students can release that information to you. One other piece that we didn't mention is talking about if your student has a 504 plan or an IEP, in the high school, there's a whole different setup in terms of the IEP team and how they work together to support the student and put things in place. With college, they work under the ADA law, which will allow students to have different accommodations, but the student has to be the person who pursues that and has to work with the college, provide the appropriate paperwork, and set up either with the disability office at the college to have what they need in place in order to be sure that they have the supports they need to do their best in college. And that's another huge one that's pretty, requiring a student to have a lot of self-advocacy and also to have, be responsible to be able to advocate for themselves and to set those things up. Now that I'm done, I'd like to turn it over to my new friend, Julie, right? Julie Serpa from Columbus State Community College. Now that I've probably scared you all, hopefully not, she's going to talk to you a little bit about how to participate in College Credit Plus and what are some of the steps that you need to take coming up and starting tonight. So thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Julie Serpa. I am a CCP advisor at Columbus State Community College, and we're going to talk about how to get started with College Credit Plus. So the first thing you want to do is apply for admission to the college you want to take classes at. So whatever school you want to take CCP classes through, you have to submit an application. After you submit an application, you need to send in test scores, and we have here listed the ACT, the SAT, we have an AccuPlacer, as well as an ALEKS math test. So if you've done any of those tests, we will need those test scores because we use those test scores to help you register for classes. So if you want to take a math class, you need to have taken either the ACT or SAT math or our ALEKS math placement test. Again, if you want to take an English, you need to have either English test scores or reading and writing test scores. We use those test scores to help you register for classes. And here, depending on what test you submit, we have some statewide score standards that you have to meet in order to register for classes. So if you want to, for example, you want to register for any type of math class, if you look under ACT Math, you need to have at least a 22 to be eligible for the program. And depending on the math class, you'll need a higher score than that. In order to do an English 1100 or a composition class, if you look under AccuPlacer, we have the Right Placer, for example, you need at least a 5 on this writing test. So there are some, as you can see, statewide standards for these scores. And I know this graph has a lot of numbers on it, but if you had questions about your test scores or anything after this, we can talk about that. So now enrolling. So once you submit test scores, There are a certain number of classes open to you as a College Credit Plus student. We call the classes that you can start with, we call those level 1 courses. And the level 1 courses are the first 15 credit hours of College Credit Plus. A lot of students in their first 15 credit hours take a class that interests them. They take an English, a history, a government, a psychology, sort of a general education class. But we call those classes level 1. After you take 15 credit hours with College Credit Plus, there are more classes open to you, and those are called level 2. The level 1 courses are listed on the college website. So the college that you choose to take College Credit Plus classes through, their website will list level 1 courses, and those are the courses that you can start with your first semester, your first year, your first time in College Credit Plus. There are some classes that are not available for College Credit Plus funding. You can see listed here, it says physical education. So if you want to do a physical education class, College Credit Plus will not pay for that. If you want to do any sort of individual music lesson, or you want to do a legal class, or you want to do a class that's in a program that is outside College Credit Plus funding, you can do that. It will just be self-pay. So you would be paying for that class. College Credit Plus will not be covering that under CCP funding. And if you had more questions about what wouldn't be covered, we can certainly talk about that afterwards. So once you submit test scores and you want to register, there is a maximum number of credit hours that you can take. Students are allowed to take up to 30 credit hours. That's the maximum that you can take. You can earn a maximum, in your whole time in College Credit Plus, you can earn a maximum of 120 credit hours, but per year, you're allowed to take a maximum of 30 credit hours. And how we figure that out, there's kind of a formula for this. So we look at college classes as being between 3 and 5 credit hours. Now the high school classes are a year long, and we weight those as 3 credit hours. Okay? So you need to take, and your guidance counselors do a great job of figuring out how many classes you're able to take with College Credit Plus, but you'll need to take how many classes you're signed up for in the year at your high school, as well as how many you think you want to take in College Credit Plus. Together, that cannot exceed the maximum, the 30 credit hours. For example, the student here, Emma's taking 5 high school classes, and each high school class is 3 credit hours. So we would do 5 times 3 is 15, and then we subtract that 15 of the high school credits, subtract that from the yearly maximum of 30 to get 15. So she would be eligible to take 15 credit hours. That's spread out over fall, spring, and summer. And we work with, as CCP advisors, we work with the high school guidance counselors to help you figure out when you're near your limit, and maybe if you're over your credit hours, and if you need to self-pay. And your guidance counselors do a great job of making sure you're under that limit so you don't have to pay for a class. Because what happens is if you are over by 1 credit hour, you have to pay for the whole class, whether that's 3 or 4 or 5 credit hours, not just the 1 credit hour you're over. So we try to work to stay within the limits of the CCP funding. But that would be sort of a formula that we use to figure out what you're eligible to take. And next, we have Dudley Thomas from Kenyon College.
Hello, thank you. I'm the director of the Kenyon Academic Partnership. Kenyon has been doing dual enrollment classes in high schools since 1978, so I think this is our 41st year. All right, so what is next? I think we're reaching the end here. That's the good news. Next thing, in order to get into the chute and into the class, you need to meet with your high school counselor and investigate all the options. It's perfectly all right to sign up with more than one college at a time. I know that sounds a little strange when you think about going off to college. It's one college at a time, but you're allowed to take classes from multiple. And you need to, even before you sign up for classes, and they will be available here tonight, you need to complete the CCP letter of intent. April 1st is the deadline. If you don't get it in tonight, you still have time, but that is a necessary requirement. This lets the school district know that you intend on taking classes. Does it commit you to taking classes? No. It's just a heads up letter. Does not force you to take the classes. All right. You need to apply to the colleges that you intend to take classes from. Each college will have a different application process. You're going to hear more about those in a few minutes here, but you need to not make any assumptions because you've gone through it with one college that all of them will be the same. Keep in mind that there are deadlines, certain documents required, most of these coming out of the high school. And it's very important, all colleges are going to communicate with you through email, and now that will be to the student and the parent, but the real information goes to the student. And so students, you have to pay attention to your email. And heads up, some of the colleges may assign you a new email address just for that college. Not only will your application material go through there, but your course material might go from the professor to you via that email. So things are a little different. All right, which tests are required? You are first required to hit the threshold score on one of the tests that were mentioned before to prove to the state that you are ready for remediation-free attendance at a college class. Those can be the ACT, SAT, Acupuncture, ALEX, and the ACT and SAT, I think everybody in the room takes the ACT as a junior. So if you have that score under your belt, you're good. The colleges will supply and are required by law to supply you a test that you can usually take at the high school. More details on that as each college comes up to talk about their process. And there are deadlines, okay? We need that test score before we can consider your admission because we have to be sure that you are meeting the state requirements for testing. All right, each college has something different to process students. We've been over that. Timelines may vary. I think we've talked about that. Be proactive. Okay, this is on you. Just because you say, oh, I think I'm going to take that course that's offered at the high school, and you sign up for the high school version of it, that doesn't mean you are accepted into the college version yet. You need to make sure that you are communicating with the college. They won't come looking for you. You have to find them. All right. Next, we will have, who is this? Columbus State is going to talk about their specific enrollment process.
Hello, once again, I'm with Columbus State Community College. And the thing with being at Columbus State is you first just need to do the College Credit Plus application that's available on our website for the following semester. You just apply, submit that, and it says use your legal name, no nicknames as a student, and then when you do the application, you want to make sure you use an email address you check often, because that's where your acceptance email will go to. So it will go to the email that you have on file with your application, your acceptance email into College Credit Plus. So once you are accepted, then you'll submit those test scores. Here is the ACT or the SAT, or you can take an Acuplacer reading and writing and math test. You'll take those scores. Now, before you submit test scores or before you take up a placement test, in that acceptance email, you'll receive your student ID number. We call it a Cougar ID number, and you'll use that Cougar ID number to take a placement test at the testing center, also to help you register for classes. That's your student ID number, so you'll need that with all of your forms. So that'll be in your acceptance email. So you do the application, submit test scores, and then after you submit test scores, you can either meet with a College Credit Plus advisor, or you can submit a registration form to your high school counselor for the class that you want to take. As long as you meet the test scores required for that class, you're able to register for the class. Now you also can only register for classes that have open seats. So if the class is full, and you're able to check the course listings on our website, you can get the information online, shows you if the classes are full or not. So as long as it's not full, you're able to register for that class. Once we at CCP, once we receive your registration form, we can register you for classes. Then you'll get an email confirmation that will be sent to your student email, as well as we CC your high school counselor or whoever sent us the form. We can CC them as well, just saying you're able to register for this class. Here's some more information. Here are your next steps. And if you had any questions about that, you're able to let us know at that time. You can respond to that email or give us a call if you have further questions about your schedule. And now back to Penny College to talk about that process.
All right, thank you. We have, our method of delivery is only with the high school teachers who have received additional training and are given adjunct professors status at the high school. And so very briefly, we have art history, American studies, which is going to look a little bit like an English course, political science, drama, or as you call it, theater, a studio art class, drawing, and English 103, 104. These are available. So the steps are prove that you're ready to the state by taking the test, and then as you request classes at the high school, sign up for these particular classes at the high school. Once you are given a seat in there, high school guidance will steer you toward our online application, and we'll review your application, make sure that we believe you're ready to take that class, and you're off and running.
I just want to touch base with you all on. We have information on our table that goes over all of this, so don't feel that you need to furiously scribble or take pictures. However, I will say that we have a deadline coming up quite quickly. If any student is interested in taking summer courses, the deadline is February 15th, and then the deadline for fall would be May 1st. So you have a little bit of time. We do need, for our application, which is online on our website, we do need the application as well as your transcript, the school form, and an ACT or an SAT score. If you have not signed up to take the ACT or the SAT yet, and you're looking for summer courses, we're probably going to be a little bit too late for that one, but for May 1st, we should be okay if you're scheduled to take the February test. If you have specific questions, you can always see me at the table. One other thing I want to highlight is we have a very special program that offers students the ability to get 6 credit hours worth of college credit through our John Glenn High School internship program, and students take a 3-hour course together with the other students in the cohort, and then the other 3 credit hours are awarded to students for being able to do an internship in the community. A lot of our students work at the State House, but some of them work for nonprofit because there's a nonprofit management major that we have there in the John Glenn School. So there's a lot of different opportunities to further your interest in serving the public and how policy, specifically affects how you can serve the public or serve your city or serve your state. So it's a great opportunity for students who are going to be seniors to take a look at that and to maybe even have an internship that you're already planning on doing coincide with the John Glenn program. So if you would like more information on any of these items, or if you have specific questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain them at the table. And last but not least, the person who started us off, Mark Moffett Otterbein.
All right, so, similar to everything else you've heard at Otterbein, our classes are offered on campus through our Otterbein Collegiate Institute. We do look at every student on a holistic basis, and what we would like to see from you is not only the application, but the high school form, and then we will evaluate, the courses that you've taken in school with your official transcript, and then we will also need an ACT or SAT score to complete your application and review for admission. One thing that I do like to say is our deadline is May 15th, so we do have some time to get that in, but also we'd like to hear from any of you that may have questions through this whole process, and then a part of your admission decision and before you get started with classes on campus, we will have a pre-orientation session in the summer where you'll actually work with our CCP advisor on campus and get scheduled into your classes to make sure that you meet the prerequisites and any other course requirements, and then get you off and running for the fall term. So it's been a pleasure for all of us to share a little bit about CCP tonight, and thank you and enjoy your evening.